How do everyone, and welcome back to Royville in 4-Color. My name is Stefan, and I just have one book for you today. It is Plastic Man No More, Book 1. It's part of DC's Black Label imprint, and I wasn't going to really do a video about this one because I was kind of regretting getting it. I saw some things on the YouTubes about how people weren't liking it. It's not Plastic Man. The writer Cantwell was being called can't write, can't do. Anyway, so let's just get into it. This one is written by Christopher Cantwell. And the art is by two individuals. So the book is broken up kind of by two stories. The current story, the art here, is by Alex Linz, and it kind of leans a little bit into body horror. It's not anything too disgusting, but it might be a little off-putting to some people. And then the second artist is Jacob Edgar, and he does this. So there's not a lot. There's about 4 pages where it seems that O'Brien, Plastic Man, Eel O'Brien, is like thinking back to his time with the Justice League, and when he does that, it's kind of that more like campy, cartoony flair, basically kind of being reminiscent of how Plastic Man was back in the day. I also heard that people were having a hard time with this one because it wasn't Plastic Man from back in the day. It wasn't just madcap silliness and, him being hit by rakes, and because he's plastic, the rake leaves an imprint in his face, that kind of thing. This is a little bit more of an adult story, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. So Plastic Man has been, I don't think it's part of what's going on, but Plastic Man does get hit by a beam in his reminiscing, and it hurts him really bad, and all the Justice Leaguers just think he's like, oh, Plastic Man, you're being funny again. I didn't like that part because it didn't let up. Like, every time he got hurt or he said, guys, I think I'm really hurt here. They're like, oh, Plastic Man, you're just being funny. And I thought at the very least, Superman would be like, wait a minute, guys. He might actually be hurt. We need to check him out. We need to make sure he's okay. But nope. Ha 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 ha. So, I don't know, that was a little bit of a misstep for me in the comic book, but then I started to think maybe this is O'Brien's recollections of the events. So, maybe part of his psychology makes it so he thinks the Justice Leaguers were like that. Well, come to find out that he is, I can't remember exactly what they call it, but he's depolarizing or depolarizing. He is told to go to someone about his problem, a chemist, because he's rubber and he's becoming gooey, for lack of a better phrase. And so she does some stuff and she basically says, hey, it looks like you're basically dying. And it's kind of emotional for him, obviously, but it's not really, it's not really emotional for him. He has a son, and he's estranged with his wife because he's Plastic Man, And so he goes to see, he sets up a meeting with his son and says, hey, I'm dying, something's going on. It could be happening to you. I don't know. I'm going to figure this out. He's also estranged with his son. That goes like it probably would go in any sort form of media. And then he's like, no, I have to figure this out. So there is a little bit of like tongue-in-cheek humor throughout the comic. But at the end, and I'm obviously spoilers here, but at the end, he goes back to the chemist and says, okay, how can I fix this? Because obviously, basically, he doesn't want it to have, I don't care about me, but there's somebody else that I really care about that I want to make sure this doesn't happen to. She's like, well, you're going to need this, basically enough power to restabilize the molecules or something. And kind of a funny scene. She's like, you're basically going to need like enough to be like a nuclear weapon, a nuclear bomb or whatever. And he's like, so you're saying I need to build a nuclear bomb or something like that. And I thought it was pretty funny because it's Plastic Man. Of course he's just going to go build a nuclear bomb. So yeah, first of all, I thought I would get this because I do like some of the more B-list, C-list heroes of the DC universe, who I think Plastic Man is. I like just the costumed ones, Granted, he has superpowers, but I mean, like kind of the everyday heroes or the ones that we don't like. This obviously I like Superman, Batman, and all that, but kind of the ones behind the scenes, the ones doing the fight every day that we don't really hear about all that much. Right now, that's Plastic Man, so I thought I'd pick it up. And I heard a lot of bad things about it, and I was really apprehensive. But then after I read it, I did not think, for this issue at the very least, it was can't write. It was definitely a can't well. And I really enjoyed this. If you like some body horror, if you like Plastic Man, it's a good story. And I'm really interested to see where it goes. And to see if Plastic Man builds a nuclear bomb and then blows himself up to save himself and his son. So, yeah. I like it. I recommend it. All right. So remember what your mom always said. If you gotta be a dick, be a Grayson. Thanks, everybody. Keep reading.